Thank you. Hey everyone. Cool. I wanted to say something in Bulgarian, but I apologize. I'm not that well versed. So Bulgaria is very close to me, and not just geographically, but also close to my heart because me and my family vacation and visit quite a lot. So being here is and speaking to you guys, it's quite special. So thank you. The original title of the talk was how to build a business on Rails or Ruby on open source, but there's like no recipe for that. So I'll just tell you how I built a business on Ruby and open source. My name is Adrian. I am a self-taught engineer, which means I didn't go to computer science school. I learned it along the way. I am product-oriented, which means that I don't like to do only development, but I like to do a little bit of design, a little bit of marketing, sales, checking what other people do, and putting all that work into my product to, get to give people, my customers and my users, the most value out of it. I am Adrian the Dev everywhere on Twitter, GitHub, and pretty much everywhere else. Avo has been my main business and job for the past 3.5 years. In my spare time, I do a tiny podcast with my friend Yaro in the back. You're probably working on the podcast. Hey, we're not very professional or anything, but we have great guests, and sometimes we're funny. Last year, I put up my own conference. It's called Friendly RB. It's going to be in September, so it's about 5, 6 months from now. So just about right when this Balkan Ruby social juices run out, you can just pop across the border to Bucharest. We're very friendly. A lot of cool people come. We do nice friendly activities. We have 4 announced speakers. It's going to be Rosa Gutierrez from 37 Signals, Nabila Yusuf from Factorial, Stephen Markheim, the SQLite guy, and Tom Rossi from Buzzsprout. And as a special treat for you guys, I'm going to announce the next speaker is going to be Nate Hopkins, the author of Stimulus Reflex and other turbo libraries. Yes. I'm very excited to host him. And the CFP is open. So one of our goals is to bring like new blood to the stage to speak. So if you think you have something to teach to your peers, definitely CFP. If you're very well versed, we definitely want to have you as well. So please apply. For those of you who don't know what Avo is, it's this advanced content management system / admin panel framework / internal tool builder for Ruby on Rails. So it helps developers build Rails apps and graphical user interfaces very, very fast, like faster than traditional methods. I'm going to speak a little bit about the story of Avo because it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. And then we're going to talk about a few tips and tricks and see what we did right or wrong along the way. So one question I get a lot is how did I get to build Avo? And for those English-speaking people out there, it's pronounced Avo, but from avocado, not Avo. It was called Project Avocado in the beginning, but I couldn't find any usernames or domain names, so I just used Avo. So it's how did it start? It's not a novel idea. I come from PHP and Laravel since back in the day, and I used for one contracting gig, I used something called Laravel Nova, which is an admin panel framework for Laravel, and we were able to deploy our internal tools so freaking fast that I was able to focus on the more important and unique aspects of the business instead of working on those. And I thought to myself like, hey, if we had something like that polished inside Rails, because Rails already helps you build apps super fast, like this would make it like the best framework out there. So I got to do some research, and I saw there were a couple of alternatives out there. There's like ActiveAdmin, Rails Admin, Administrate, Trestle, and others, but each of them had their disadvantages. Now, this is a disclaimer. Me talking about those disadvantages is not bashing them. They were here before Avo, before Nova. They set the groundwork, and I am grateful for that. But they were built probably with different contexts, different technologies, and probably different goals in mind. But going back to the current alternatives, some of them felt a little bit unmaintained, unpolished, and the developer experience was not great. So I got started. I didn't aim to build a business. Frankly, I'm a developer. I just wanted to see if I could build it. So I started in the spring of 2020. You probably remember 2020, something like COVID or something. Yeah, so I started working, I started building it as a side project. I worked throughout the spring and summer. And in August, I had a gem file and I started telling people about it. Just look at this conversation. But it's super easy to use. Just follow the docs. I was so naive. I was that guy that built something cool and wondered like, why wouldn't everyone want to use it? And the next 2 months went from me telling people about my product to me begging people to use my product. Most people I was talking to, they were saying something like, they were telling me like, oh, nobody's paying for anything like this. This is not going to work. Or, but we have Active Admin, and that's free. Why would we pay for your tool? Or plainly, oh, so this is like PHP I was frustrated. Like nobody understands my tool. Like this is not something that you build like a half-assed. Nobody uses ugly admin panel. This is a tool where you can bring all your team to work productively. It should work very well. It should look nice. It should support advanced use cases and should be ready to deploy to your consumers from day one. And I kept working. I hung on to every bit of promotion that I could without being spammy or sleazy. For example, Planet Ruby did an advent calendar in the month of December. So each day they would highlight one gem. Day 15 was for Avo. Jason Charles once said, I don't have anything to talk about on the podcast. I told him about that and he gave Avo a shout out on the podcast. Whenever somebody asks something like, who's building something cool with Ruby? I was there telling them about Avo. I reached out to like 10, 15 podcast producers telling them like, come on, have me there. Like, I want to tell people about my thing. Jason Sweat was one of the first big Ruby podcasts that had me, and I will forever be thankful. So this is like my call to action to you. Like if you are somebody with influence in the community and you see somebody building something cool and being passionate about it, help them out. Give them a shout out. Tell people about their product because they'll forever thank you for it. Some time passed, end of 2020, DHH released Hotwire. It was this cool, swanky way of building user interfaces with Rails. I was a little bit hesitant of changing my Vue.js single page application with the Rails backend to this new thing because it's just new. But no worries. Just a week after it was released, somebody on Twitter came onto my chat and told me like, I will never use your tool because it doesn't use Hotwire. Hotwire is the best and you should use Hotwire. And guess what? I said to myself, I'll show that stranger who didn't pay $99 for my tool that I can do it. I can rewrite it all. And I did just that. He's somewhere in this photo. We were grabbing a beer at Rails World 3 years later, so we're all good. We're very good friends. Avo was probably one of the first medium-sized products that used Hotwire, not even 3 months after it was released. Then a couple of months went by, we got our first customer. And then in the first year, I almost abandoned the project. I was chasing the VC dream, the venture capital dream. That didn't work out for me, but during that year, people started picking it up, started using it, paying for it. They started requesting features. And then I thought to myself, like, wait a minute, if they want it, if they use it, maybe there's something there, maybe it solves a problem. So I started working more on it. So end of 2021, I made $4,000. Yeah, thank you. No, wait a minute. So it was just enough to pay like my taxes and my accountant. Then 2 years, sorry, where was I? Yeah, so then we worked a little bit, I worked a little bit more on it. I released version 2 with some more features and then a subscription model. And the next 2 years set the tone for one release every 2 weeks and me wanting to bring like a substantial improvement on each release and still wanting Avo to be a little bit, get more traction in the community. But these years were a little bit gruesome. Like I was always wondering, am I doing the right thing? Like I could get a job, I could make so much money. Am I wasting my time? Am I hurting my family in the process? It was very difficult. And they say that the second most important decision in your life is choosing your co-founder, because like the most important decision in your life is choosing your partner in life. And my wife was very supportive with me, and I thank her every day for pushing me to keep going. She saw the value, she saw the advancement, and I thank her every day. So you should get somebody like that in your life as well. I spoke with Mike Perham. I had a few calls, and he said the same thing. Like, just keep going, just provide value, use your strengths to your advantage. And he was talking about me living in Eastern Europe and having a lower cost of living, and I would definitely have a longer runway than anybody else from the States. And I did just that. I worked on a reduced income and from my savings until the product took off. I also had a few conversations with Nick. He told me, like, we'll never sell, brother. Just do it. Just continue. Sometimes I wanted to quit. I just wanted to give up. But then I had a sale. And then I had another sale. And then I had the best month. And then I had another best month. When you're in this thing, building a product and a business, it's not like, watching a chart growing and you see, okay, this was the history of the company over time. You can do that, but it's very difficult to see the growth and the patterns. We started getting fans or evangelists, people reaching out, telling us like, oh my God, this is an amazing framework. It helps us so much. It brings so much value. So that made us continue more. This is how I met Paul. He was working at a company that was using Avo, and we started speaking in English, of course. And he told me like, "Hey, these are the features that I would like to have, or this is how I hacked it, or this you could build this, or this is how we did this." And after we became friends a little bit, we did some research, and I found out that he's from Romania as well. Who would have figured? Like, yeah. And at some point, he told me like he wants to get like a second job, like he wants to improve like his income, and I couldn't like think about like hiring anybody. I was struggling myself, but I told him like, why don't you come and work for Avo? Like I cannot pay like a full-time salary, but I could pay maybe a part-time salary or whatever. He said, yeah, okay. And but at that time, my biggest customer was paying me like $500 per month to be on his Slack channel and on his GitHub repo and write some Avo code for them. And I took most of that money and just gave it to Paul. And that's the story of the first Avo employee. It's not a glorious story. It sounds like a struggling story, and it kind of is. But it's also a story about resilience. Like I did what I had to do to get my product going. End of 2022, we made $24,000. It was kind of like the ramen profitability level that we were looking for. It was a shit salary, but it's okay. I had my product. I had the freedom to do what I wanted. In the development area, we were banging out features and enhancements. We still do. We were active, and we still are active on Discord and our GitHub repo to give out support. Then in 2023, we launched Avo 3, where we improved the APIs to support more use cases. And that's when Paul became a full-time employee. So he took even more engineering work off of my hands so I can focus on sales, marketing, and like thinking a little bit about the future. End of 2023, we made $64,000. Enough to cover 2 lousy salaries, but again, we were, thank you. Thank you. But we were making an impact, like we were delivering value. We were building a business, so it was quite cool. Last year I went on a conference tour by attending and speaking other conferences. This led me to host my own conference in Bucharest. And the tour was not there just so I can talk about my product, but to connect and understand my community. Because these are the people who are going to buy or recommend my product. I thank my wife, I thank my community, but there's one unsung hero here, and that's Rails. Avo wouldn't have worked if Rails didn't have its conventions. That's how Avo knows how to talk to the database, to the controllers, to inject routes, to handle all of those things through engines. So thank you, Rails, for making our life easier. Now we are a team of 3, with Gabriel being the 3rd junior Ruby developer that we hire. We have a decent, respectable four-figure MRR. We have about 200 paying customers and a clear path forward. We've seen people build Shopify alternatives, fintech, inventory and security apps, entire healthcare CRMs on Avo and other front-facing, consumer-facing applications. The market showed us that Rails and Ruby has this ecosystem, this maturity to handle something like this. So that's the story of Avo. This is how we came to be. This is how we are here. And in preparation for this talk, I asked people like, what would you like to know from like our story? What would you like to, and people usually say, how do we get started? And how do you go from part-time involvement to full-time involvement? When do you do that? So let's try and take it one step at a time and see what maybe you should do and what maybe we did right or wrong. So first of all, you gotta have an idea. But instead of thinking about it like having an idea, you should identify a problem, something that a segment of users, some problem that a segment of users have. And ideally, that problem should be painful. Think about your solution as a painkiller or a vitamin. People would pay anything to get their pains away, but they might skimp on the vitamins. And it's the same with software. The level of involvement that you have in the work might be the same, but they might not value it the same way. Go and find potential customers and talk to them. Ask them about the problem. Your friends and family don't count. This book, which I recommend, will tell you that you should never speak to your friends and family and pitch them an idea. They'll say, oh my God, that sounds like a great idea. Go build it. You'll be so rich. It's going to be perfect. But it's going to be bad feedback because they don't have the problem. You got to go find the people with the problem. So you have an idea what to do next. You should go and build the MVP, which should be the simplest thing you could build. You could even have like a lot of manual processes. That MVP should give you the best idea if you should like continue or not with your product. You should start very, very small. No fancy automation, no fancy CI/CD system, no fancy design. Just put it out there. People will tell you, your customers will tell you that they need the button or they need this feature or that other feature. Did we do this right? Not really. I just built it hoping they would come. So, you know, call it intuition. I did it the hard way and I don't really recommend it. So do it the right way. Next, it's time to go and find users. My biggest mistake is I just built it and somehow I thought that they will come, the customers, and they didn't. And they probably won't come for you to your product either. So if you did research about your problem, you kind of should know where those users are. It's going to be difficult to reach them, but you kind of should know where they are. This is a famous tweet from Daniel Vassallo, and I think all of us did it as developers. We do all of these things like dark mode, favicon, and everything else, which you don't really have to do to launch your product. All you have to do is like bring some people to your product, and then you'll figure it out. Now that you have some users, you have to listen to them. They'll tell you what is missing. They'll tell you what is extra. It helps you iterate on your product. What's the best indicator that your product is solving a problem? Money. Yes, I said it, the dirty word. Paying customers is the only way to truly validate that your product is solving a problem and it's solving a painful problem. So start charging as soon as possible. As soon as you have some traction, if your product delivers value, increase your prices to reflect that value. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be like, oh, I don't want to lose everybody. But it's a leap of faith. Again, you're testing what is the value of your product. You're testing how much you should work on it or not, right? Did we do this right? I think we did. We started charging from day one, and we keep iterating on our pricing. So make a reasonable roadmap and try to stick with it. I started out, knowing what Avo should be like in 2 or 3 years. We kind of are there, and you'll probably have an idea, but how you get there is a little bit different. We look at the big companies, how they set roadmaps for like 6 months or 6 years, and we try to do the same, but you're not them. That strategy might not work for you. So, set something and try to follow it. And this really helps if you're not very strict about it. Like if you plan to build feature A, B, and C in that order, and a customer comes and they need feature C, go build that. Like, they need it. You'll reach the other features eventually. Serving your customers is the most important thing that you can do and bring them value. Our friends from user list have this quote, better done than perfect. It's very true. Like, when somebody asks me, like, how do I get started? I tell them, like, if they're a developer, I tell them, like, do Rails new and deploy the first day. It's going to be a blank page, nothing. But you're going to write some code and deploy. Tomorrow, some more code, and the next day, and the next day. And by the time you know it, you have something valuable that's out there. You can tell people about it. You can show it to them. You're going to get feedback very, very fast. So don't build something in the dark, because that perfect project that you're building, that's probably never going to be launched. So did we do this right? We recently set a Q1 milestone and we couldn't really deliver because our customers needed something else. So I think we're doing it okay. Show up and show you care. Like when we get like a GitHub issue or something, or like somebody is having a problem, like we get there and tell them, like, okay, I see you. Like, maybe we can't work on this week, maybe next week or whatever, but we see you. Like, that shows that there's somebody on the other side. So somebody is listening and acknowledging our problem. And that builds trust. Again, I found that developers, especially, they don't like to work with robots. So try to show your personality, show your face. They want to see how you talk about things, how you look, and how you smile and stuff. So that definitely helps a lot to show who you are. I did it the hard way. I just quit my job and started working on this. At some point, you might work on something part-time, and at some point it might sustain you full-time. And when you go full-time on this, tell everybody, your customers, your potential customers, they want to know that the most important thing you do professionally is this thing. That, again, builds more trust. Branding is important. Like, as developers, like, we throw a bootstrap on it and we call it designed. It's perfect. But it's important to have like a proper logo, like proper colors, to have like a proper way of talking about your product. It shows you care. It's that little extra. Get a designer friend or spend $200 to get a proper logo, and then make stickers. Once you have stickers, by the way, I have stickers. Come reach me after this. When you make stickers, everything is more real, and you can do other cheat codes. Like, if you sponsor Ruby Social Mastodon, then you can add your own emoji there with your logo. So that's a cool little thing. You're gonna have to do marketing. I know it's scary. As developers, we find it dirty. But the only way your customers are going to find out about your product, it's only if you tell them. If you don't speak about your product, who will? Ideally, you should create this funnel like this, and you have customers that are searching for solutions, and then they're analyzing your solution, then they buy your solution, whatever. And this funnel should be replicable and scalable. You should have like a knob somewhere. You throw more money in the funnel, you get more customers at the other end. That's what they tell me. Did we do this right? No, we hate that shit. We don't like it. But you're gonna have to do it at some point. This is how you grow. When I see somebody, sorry, go for it. When I see somebody building something cool online, like I get there, I talk to them, I say, let's jump on a call. I want to see how they think, what motivates them, what drives them. And you should do the same, especially if that's a person that could help you with your product or your business. Because you'll figure out pretty soon, like, if you just ask, they'll tell you everything, all the secrets. Like, you just have to ask. So go and talk to people. This helps if you go to events like this one, bigger, smaller, meetups. These kinds of events cement those friendships that you make online, and they create this networking effect that everybody's talking about. It's way easier to buy from Adrian, with which I had like a great time at Balkan Ruby, right? Than like a random dude in Eastern Europe. This line worked better when I gave it somewhere else, because but sorry. Yeah, so these new friendships, these folks are going to like help you with your product, give you feedback, keep you sane when you're like super down. They're gonna recommend your talk. They're definitely gonna keep those social juices up, which you definitely need. if I didn't speak to Mike Perham, to Nick, to other people in the community, like I wouldn't have been here. Like I would just quit and say goodbye. So whenever you find your way and you're good, you should help others. Like talk to them and share from your stories. Go and speak at meetups, at conferences, write a blog, help people, be honest, share your successes and your failures. That trust you build is going to trickle into your business. You're gonna have to do a lot of things. This is not your 9 to 5 job where you close your laptop at 5 and you do your hobbies. You're gonna have to do, like, marketing is hard if you've never done it, sales is hard if you've never done it, copywriting is hard if you've never done it, but you're gonna have to do it. But the only way to build something like this is just show up every day. So just do it every day. Us as developers, especially as engineers, we try to imagine that every decision that you take is like very rational. It's only rational decisions, but sometimes you're going to have to listen to your gut. So keep that in mind. Don't try to do what 5-year-old or 10-year-old startups are doing right now, like how they launch products or how they organize their companies, because you're not them. Okay, maybe try and check out what they did when they were in your position. One of the things that we did wrong was take things personally. Like sometimes somebody comes on our Discord and rants about our product. Avo doesn't do this, or it's bad like this, or whatever. It's crap, and we paid money for it, and we wanted to do this. And like I took it so personally. Like, what do you mean? You pay so little, you get so much value. Why? How dare you come here? But I failed. Like I failed to read through the lines. I mean, maybe the discourse, the message was maybe a little bit aggressive or not proper, but I feel like I should just read through the lines and say, okay, yes, oh, you're right. These are the things that are wrong with my product, so we're going to improve those. So again, don't take things personally. Try to read between the lines. Pricing is hard. It's very hard, especially when you're trying to help the little guy. Companies usually throw an X amount of dollars per user and per month, and maybe an enterprise plan, and call it a day. But we still haven't found the right pricing, and we're still working on it. It's not fair that a company that gets, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000 per year of value from your product pay the same thing that a company that makes millions. And that distinction is usually difficult to do with just features. So you should iterate on your pricing. But seriously, if there's one thing you can take out of this talk, is that you have the power to build the product that you want and the business that you want. But you also have the power to not do it. Execution is key. Execution is the best advice that I can give you. The opposite of execution is to doubt, is to wonder, is to delay, is to not ship. So not executing is the biggest mistake that you can make. So please go out there and ship something people want. Thank you.